Well, folks, working ourselves up on Russia, what I read out yesterday, a little explanation from my side on a slightly on a slower basis. See, what we all, I think, neither did I, understand that Russia as a federal structure actually happened under Lenin, and he actually had a fairly well structured USSR. And the USSR of Lenin changed with USSR of Stalin, who junked it. And we continued thinking that this is the same Soviet Union. So if you look at what happened in 1914 or 1917 when it became the USSR under Lenin, obviously at that time Ukraine was a separate country. So now the other thing you find out that this, even though the Soviet Russians tried to junk cultural and religious ideology, because that's how communism worked, right? It works in China. However, what really happened was eventually it was the Slavs, it's the Orthodox Church. Even the Orthodox Church is in play even now, being used by Putin. Putin thinks he's like the article said, he's the next thing to Rome, right? He is the controller of the Orthodox Church. And the imperialist impulse of Russia has been there for all to see. The only thing is that India has been constantly blindsided. But India now has to start making moves into the periphery of Russia, who are all actually uncomfortable with this overbearing bear, right? They are actually more concerned, just like the periphery of China, both working very similarly, right? India, Belarus to explore trade settlement in INR. A lot of people now are exploring. Belarus, welcome, right? Putin seeks to use winter as a weapon of war. Will that work? Because if that doesn't work, it's a whole new ball game. And it's so far, well, we are still waiting. December's over. It still seems to be in play. Russia offers new nuclear fuel solutions for countries' atomic reactors. And this really is becoming a problem, right? Among the new solutions and tech are new models of nuclear fuel solutions for higher uranium enrichment. I am beginning to doubt all nuclear technology any technology now coming out of the USSR or Russia, right? Really. Made in India, Central Asia, NSA talk on December 6th. This was a good talk. India really needs to be in play in Central Asia. Because think about it. I mean, besides the fact that we have this domestic policy that goes ballistic on the Mughals, the problem is that our culturally, history, and genetically, apparently the DNA which actually eventually the gene sequencing that links us to our heritage is the furthest is. Now, we are not Aryans really, actually. We are closest, we are linked to Europe is Central Asia, from the steppes of Central Asia, right? And doctrinal lessons from the Russian-Ukraine war, as written by Raghu Raman. He says, however, at the doctrinal level, nations have an overarching policy of economic dominance and or degradation towards their adversaries. Second, wars are about the economy and control over resources. Pakistan follows a low-intensity, deep state and seditious doctrine towards India, trying to ruin our economy. Like many world leaders before him, Russian President Vladimir Putin got it wrong. Despite being a military man, under his watch, the second strongest military in the world has been reduced to the second strongest military in Ukraine. And that really is the truth that should hit home as far as India is concerned. The retreat from Kherson could be for Putin what the Battle of Bulge was for Hitler, the beginning of the end. And he wrote this about 2 months back and I read it out. And I'm out there again. And Putin is almost all but fried. And that is happening largely because Putin lost touch with reality. He started believing in his propaganda and overplayed his hand one time too many. And now, having culturally misread Russia, we are also doing the same with China. China is not about Chinese civilization. It's about CCP and what was born in 1962 under Mao. He is very clear. He is clear. Tibet, 5 fingers, like I've explained to you. And Xi Jinping is nothing but an acolyte of Mao. So he's going to do exactly that. And this is where what we have to remember is what comes into play was Ashutosh Vashni writes, where China is headed. Beijing has moved to security over economic mode, making a Chinese compromise less likely. A lot of people believed and continue to believe in India. I was talking the other day with friends, oh no, because of all the export-import trade, China will never attack India. They have never really cared because of this. He says, as India debates the latest border clashes with China, Delhi should keep in mind that China has moved to a security over economy mode, making a Chinese compromise less likely. But whether Taiwan, China's prime security focus, makes China-India border problems more or less manageable remains wholly unclear. It could go either way. I think India is going to get hit first, right? Because I think China has figured that out. And with the domestic problems that are happening now, with the economy slowing down, with the number of deaths as far as COVID is concerned, she is going to have to divert the attention outwards, right? What 2023 holds for India's foreign policy. This is by Harish V. Pant. He says, the Ukraine war threw unexpected geopolitical tests at India in 2022, and Delhi handled them deftly. But challenges from China persist, and if the war drags on, India's new multi-alignment strategy will face the stress test in the new era. And it's all this co-centric and polycentric and all these new words Jay Shankar keeps throwing up to explain an unexplainable situation. It's just not working. He's beginning to sound like like Dick Cheney. The China challenge will continue to test New Delhi's resolve for the foreseeable future, even as the India-Russia ties will also come under greater scrutiny if the Ukraine crisis continues to drag on beyond the winter months, and which, as I see it now, it sure as hell is going to. New Delhi's much-wanted multi-alignment might face a stress test in the coming years, but if 2022 is anything to go by, India's voice on the global stage will only get amplified as its uniqueness has found a new resonance that is unlikely to dissipate anytime soon, but it will dissipate very fast if we continue to downgrade our democratic principles and our democratic institutions, and also if our economy now continues to slide. And let me just say this, the worst is still to come as far as the Indian economy is concerned, folks. Tighten your belts because we are gonna hit turbulent weather come 2023, folks. Cheers and Jai Hind.